Do you think that the Cincinnati Bengals should re-sign DJ Reader?
This is the part of the offseason where I start deflecting things versus answering things. So, Evan, what are your thoughts?
This is a tough one, Ev. This is a tough one.
You're going to be hard-pressed to find someone who is a bigger fan of DJ Reader than I am. Talked about me covering him when he was just a rotational defensive lineman, nose tackle, just run defender for the Texans, playing behind Christian Covington.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I know. It was
playing behind.
It was an interesting. It was an interesting time. It was the time when Deshaun Watson was playing with broken ribs because the offensive line was just in shattered tambles. Like it was just there was a whole bunch of stuff going on with the Texans at that point. So I love DJ. We also have to be realistic in our understanding that this guy is 30 with 2 major injuries in very recent years and is probably going to get $10 to $14 million a year from other teams. And that's kind of the question where it's like, man, can you, with all the other holes on this team right now, can you really say that a DJ Reader who is only going to be declining as he ages over the next 3 years of this contract, right? That's going to be a hard payment to justify. If you're being honest with yourself and you say you're paying him 12, 14 million a year, but we remove ourselves a year or two from this, like, isn't he the most likely cut candidate within a year on the team when you're looking, wow, we have a 32-year-old nose tackle who is probably just on his way down just because it's age and it's tough to carry that kind of weight on your body, man. Like, it's hard on those guys. Think about offensive linemen, how quickly they lose that weight. Like, it is hard on your body to play overweight or over your body's frame, its capacity, right?
Yep.
So those guys just break down, man. It's tough. It's really hard. So, like, is that value in what you get out of him, right? And if you're really trying to contend and try to elevate your team, I just don't know how bringing him back at that kind of price point is really going to be justified. And that hurts me to say because he's a fucking great teammate, leader, person, player, like all of these things. But sometimes, like, circumstance and timing don't work out. Sometimes you fall in love with a girl at the wrong time in your life or something, right? You just you
tell
don't
me.
have,
say it again.
Right?
Say it again.
Sometimes things don't work out. Like sometimes you want to go take a job across the country, but you got to take care of your mom.
Sometimes you spend 8 years with the girl, right? And she cheats on you. Maybe that happens,
It's there's always things that you'd like to do or that are good just objectively, but you got life stuff that gets in the way, right? So, like, it doesn't mean that I don't like DJ Reader, that I don't want him back, but, like, all the circumstances I just don't think make sense for everybody.
Yeah, I think with DJ, you're looking very short term. If DJ wants to come back on a year
deal,
show the world he's healthy,
and
maybe,
if he wants to
maybe
discount because he loves Cincinnati and loves playing here, that'd be great, dude. If it's $6-7 million a year, then like I can justify that.
If DJ's looking to get the amount of money he probably like truly deserves, it's just not.
Well, that's the thing is, if he's getting $6-7 million a year from the Bengals, is that going to be as valuable to him as Brad Spielberger, again, who works it over the cap, and consults with NFL teams about these contracts and about this free agent stuff? He has DJ Reader projected at $15 million a year for 3 years.
No.
Does anyone feel good if DJ Reader at $15 million a year for 3 years going into his age 34 season, 33 season? That's tough, man.
Yeah,
like that's tough.
You got that. Sure, I'm looking at a 1 year deal, and that's really all.
I think that's where
Malik, you and I like each other, but if you got to pay me $10,000 a show, well, shit. Like, there's gonna be one less chair on here, right? Like, that's tough. It's nothing against you or me, right? But like sometimes, like, you just get priced out.
What did Juicy say? No, but in all seriousness, man, I think that's where the interesting part of this whole thing comes into consideration, because it takes two to tango, right? And it's up to DJ Reader as well. Was he looking for that long-term security? Because anything could happen in a year. You could blow your knee out. Anything could happen. You get injured. You have no idea. So do you want that long-term security, or do the Bengals want to provide you with that long-term security, right? And we might say, hey, the Bengals might say, hey, we want that 1 year deal because it makes us feel comfortable. Well, does it make him feel comfortable to know that, hey, you're basically just respectfully home out for that 1 year, get a ring, and then you want nothing to do with me after that. So what does that create? You know what I mean? So like for me, it's one of those things where it's like, it's an interesting situation to be in an ideal spot. You'd like to, I would say I would like for the Bengals to obviously bring DJ Reader back, but if you can't, I'll say you might want to try to look at an option, sort of what you went through when you first were going through for those tier 2, tier 3 guys. You kind of have it be a committee thing, if you will. You know,
man, if DJ Reader, man, like it's the same thing like we talked about with Cheeto, right? Where like you haven't necessarily gotten a bag through your career, and maybe he's at the point, and maybe he's of the mindset like I've made enough money, I don't really care. There's not a big difference between 6 million and 12 or 14 to me. But at the same time, that's his family, that's his generational wealth. And if another team comes and says, hey, we're going to give you $45 million to be a veteran presence in our locker room, because guys, Andrew Billings was that guy for the Bears last year. Like, yes, and that Andrew Billings is still playing and still getting paid in the NFL to be just a veteran presence and a decent player on a team that was utterly bereft of any talent on the trenches.
And he got more money than you think.
Right. So, like, that's the thing is, like, if Carolina calls him and says, hey, do you want to come down to the Carolinas where the weather's nice, a little easier on you than the winter is on your body, and just be our veteran presence and make $15 million a year and secure your family, like, that's
tough to say no.
If I'm his friend, I'm telling him that's tough to turn down, dude. Like, you know, like when your buddy says, I got to move away, I got this job offer somewhere else, you're like, dude, I'm happy for you. I'm sad to see you leave, but I'm real happy for you. Like, it's that kind of scenario, man.